The ship broke through the clouds of the new world with a slow rumble. Its hull was dark and worn from years of travel. Inside the ship, the crew waited in silence as the engines lowered the vessel toward the surface. They had traveled for many months across deep space, following signals of life from this distant star system. Now at last, they were close to their destination. Aaron sat in the control seat, his hands steady on the levers. He was not the leader of the mission, only the one who guided the ship to safe landings. His work was simple compared to the scientists and explorers around him, but he carried it with care. As he looked out through the viewing screen, he saw the world stretch wide before him. The planet was covered with soft plains that shone under two suns. Strange plants grew in clusters, tall and curved, with colors that shimmered like glass. Rivers bent in silver lines across the ground, and in the far distance mountains rose like sharp teeth. Aaron felt the weight of the moment. This was not Earth, and it was not like any other planet they had seen before. The ship touched down on a smooth field of stone. The crew moved quickly, checking the air, the pressure, and the temperature. All signs showed that the world could support life. The leader of the mission, a tall woman named Mara, stood and ordered the hatch to be opened. The sound of the ramp lowering filled the air. Sunlight rushed inside, warm and golden. Aaron followed the others as they stepped out onto the stone. The air felt lighter than Earth's, but fresh and full of energy. Aaron drew a deep breath and felt his chest rise as if the air itself carried strength. In front of them, a crowd had gathered. The aliens were tall and slender, their skin smooth like polished stone. Their eyes were large and bright, glowing with calm light. They wore long robes that moved gently in the wind, and many carried carved staffs that seemed to hum with quiet energy. They did not speak at first. Instead, they watched the humans with careful, steady eyes. For a moment, there was only silence. Aaron could hear the beating of his own heart. Then one figure stepped forward. It was a woman unlike the others. Her robe was silver, and her eyes shone with deeper fire. Her movements were graceful, and yet there was strength in every step she took. She stopped a few paces from the crew and lifted her head. Her gaze fell upon Aaron, not Mara, not the scientists, but Aaron himself. Aaron shifted uneasily. He looked at Mara, expecting her to speak, but the alien woman's eyes did not leave him. She raised one hand and spoke in a voice that was clear and strong. "This is the one we have been waiting for." Her people stirred. A soft murmur spread through the crowd. Some bowed their heads, while others placed their hands across their chests in a gesture of respect. Aaron froze. He did not know what she meant. He was only a pilot, not a leader, not a hero. Mara stepped forward, speaking carefully. "We come in peace. We are explorers from another world. We mean no harm." The alien woman nodded but kept her eyes fixed on Aaron. "Your words are heard," she said, "but the path was written long before your ship touched our skies. He has come, as the signs foretold." The crew glanced at one another. Confusion spread across their faces. Aaron felt heat rise in his chest. He wanted to speak, to say she was mistaken, but the weight of her stare held him still. The alien people parted to the sides, forming a path of stone. The woman turned and beckoned with her hand. "Come," she said. "You must see what waits for you." Mara frowned. "We should remain together," she said firmly. "Our mission requires—" But the alien woman raised her hand again and the crowd fell silent. "Your mission has already begun. Follow if you wish, but he must walk the path." Aaron swallowed hard. He looked at Mara, then at the rest of the crew. Their faces showed both fear and expectation. Finally, Mara gave a short nod. "Go," she said to Aaron, though her voice was heavy. With uncertain steps, Aaron walked forward. The alien woman led him through the path of her people. As he passed, Their eyes followed him with quiet reverence. Some whispered words in their own tongue, words he did not understand but could feel in his bones. He tried to tell himself this was only their way of greeting strangers, yet the weight of their stares told him it was something more. At the end of the path, the alien woman stopped. She turned to him, her silver robe catching the light of the suns. "Do you know why you are here?" she asked. Aaron shook his head. "I am only a pilot. I was told to land the ship, that is all." Her eyes softened. "You may believe that, but the stars carry deeper truths. Long ago, our ancestors spoke of a traveler who would come from beyond the skies. This traveler would walk among us and guide us in the time of change. Many doubted, but I did not. I knew one day I would stand here and see the one with my own eyes. And now, here you are." Aaron felt his mouth go dry. He searched for words, but found none. He wanted to say it was a mistake, that he was no guide, no savior. Yet something inside him, a small, quiet spark, made him hesitate. The woman placed her hand on her chest and bowed her head. The crowd behind her did the same. Their voices rose in a single tone, low and deep, echoing across the stone field. Aaron stood frozen as their chant filled the air. The suns dipped lower in the sky, painting the world in red and gold. Aaron's hands trembled. He thought of Earth, of his life before the mission, of the quiet hours spent at the controls of the ship. He had always believed his path was simple. Now, as the chant of an alien people rose around him, he was no longer sure. The alien woman lifted her head once more. Her voice was clear as she spoke. "This is the one we have been waiting for." The words carried across the field, final and certain. Aaron stood beneath the glow of the suns, caught between disbelief and destiny, as the first day on this new world came to a close. The suns rose higher in the sky, pouring their light across the strange land. Aaron stood still among the alien people, the sound of their chant still echoing in his mind. His heart pounded as he tried to understand what was happening. He had not spoken a word to them, yet the silver-robed woman had chosen him, calling him the one they had been waiting for. Mara and the rest of the crew walked carefully down the stone path to stand beside him. Their faces were tense, their eyes sharp with unease. Mara's voice was steady but firm as she spoke. "We are explorers. We seek knowledge and friendship. We do not wish to mislead you. This man is a pilot, nothing more." The alien woman looked at Mara with calm eyes, then turned her gaze back to Aaron. "You may see him as a pilot, but we see him as more. The signs are clear. The day has come." The alien crowd stirred again, their voices rising in quiet whispers. Some pointed toward Aaron, their expressions filled with wonder. Others looked troubled, their eyes narrowing as if they did not trust the claim. Aaron felt caught between their stares. He wanted to step back, to escape the heavy attention, but his legs refused to move. He finally spoke, his voice quiet, but firm. "I do not know your signs. I am not chosen. I came here only to land a ship." The alien woman tilted her head as if listening to something unseen. Then she nodded slowly. "You speak with honesty, but truth is not always in what we know. Sometimes truth is in what we become." Her words confused him further. He opened his mouth to argue, but Mara placed a hand on his arm, stopping him. She whispered low enough that only he could hear. "Do not fight this yet. We need to understand them. Let us learn what they mean before we decide anything." Aaron clenched his jaw and nodded slightly. He could feel the weight of the crew's eyes on him, each of them waiting to see what would happen next. The alien woman lifted her staff and tapped it lightly against the stone ground. The sound echoed across the field, and the crowd grew silent at once. She raised her voice so that all could hear. "People of our land, the prophecy speaks. The traveler from the skies has come. We will take them to the Hall of Crystal, where truth shall be revealed." At once the crowd parted again, forming two long lines that stretched toward the distant hills. Beyond the hills, Aaron could see a faint glow, as if the sun reflected on hidden glass. The woman gestured for them to follow. Mara signaled to the crew. "Stay close. We move together." They began to walk between the lines of aliens. The stone beneath their feet was smooth and warm, and the sound of their steps echoed faintly. The aliens bowed their heads as Aaron passed, some touching, their hands to the ground in respect. Others whispered words he could not understand. Aaron felt his throat tighten. He had never been the center of such attention, and he wished he could vanish into the shadows. After a long walk, the group reached the foot of the hills. The path wound upward, carved from the stone itself, leading toward a vast structure that glimmered in the light. As they drew closer, Aaron realized it was not built like the cities of Earth. The walls rose in sharp angles, made of crystal that caught the sunlight and scattered it into bright rainbows across the air. The Hall of Crystal stood tall and silent, as if it had been waiting for centuries. The alien woman stopped before the entrance. She turned to the crew. "Inside these walls are the words of our ancestors. They tell of the traveler who would come from beyond the sky. Only within will you understand." Mara spoke carefully. "We will follow, but we must stay together. We must also record what we see, so that knowledge can be shared." The woman nodded. "You may record, for truth is not afraid of memory." They entered the hall. Inside, the light was softer, glowing through the crystal walls. Carvings covered the stone pillars, lines of symbols and figures that seemed to tell stories of long ago. The crew spread out, examining the walls with wide eyes. Aaron followed slowly, still unsure of why he was there. The alien woman led him to a great carving at the center of the hall. It showed a figure standing beneath two suns, with people gathered around. The figure held no weapon, no crown, only open hands. The people around the figure reached toward him as if seeking guidance. "This is the prophecy," the woman said softly. "The traveler who comes with no crown, no weapon, and no claim of power. He stands with open hands, and by this he brings change." Aaron stared at the carving. The figure had no face, no name. It could be anyone. Yet the alien woman believed it was him. "I am not this person," Aaron said firmly. "I am not a leader. I do not bring change. I only fly ships." The woman studied him with steady eyes. "And yet you stand here, chosen by the stars, at the time our ancestors foretold. You may deny it now, but truth has a way of finding those who resist it most." Her words sank deep into him, though he tried to push them away. He turned from the carving and looked at Mara. Her face was serious, her eyes narrow as she examined both him and the woman. The rest of the crew whispered among themselves, their voices full of questions. One of the alien elders stepped forward. His robe was dark and his eyes were cold. He pointed his staff at Aaron. "How can we trust this stranger? Prophecy can be twisted. Perhaps he brings danger, not hope." The crowd shifted uneasily. Some nodded in agreement, while others shook their heads. The hall filled with murmurs of doubt and faith. Aaron felt the weight of their debate pressing on him, even though he had no answers to give. The silver-robed woman raised her voice above the noise. "He is the one. I have seen the signs in the stars, and I have felt the truth in his presence. He is not here to harm us. He is here because the time has come." The elder's eyes narrowed, but he said nothing more. He stepped back into the crowd, leaving a shadow of suspicion behind him. Aaron's mind raced. He wanted to protest again, but something in him held back. Perhaps it was the way the woman spoke with such certainty, or the way the people looked at him with hope in there eyes. A quiet thought stirred within him, a thought he did not want to believe. What if they were right? The suns outside began to sink, their light turning the crystal walls into rivers of gold and red. The hall grew warm with the glow. The alien woman placed her hand over her heart and bowed to Aaron. "Do not fear your path," she said softly. "You will see soon enough. This is only the beginning." Aaron felt the world tilt around him. He had come only as a pilot, but now he was caught in the center of a story far older than himself. The Hall of Crystal stood tall under the fading light of the twin suns. Its walls glimmered with shifting colors, and the air inside hummed with a strange energy, as if the place itself carried memory. Aaron walked slowly between the glowing pillars, his steps echoing on the stone floor. He still felt the heavy eyes of the alien people on him, even though many had gone outside. The silver-robed woman stayed close by his side. She walked with calm grace, as though she had known this moment all her life. When she looked at Aaron, her gaze was not questioning, but certain. To her, there was no doubt. He was the one the prophecy spoke of. Mara and the crew spread out, studying the carvings and symbols along the walls. Some of the scientists whispered excitedly, their hands moving over their scanners as they tried to capture every detail. Mara, however, kept her eyes on Aaron. She did not trust the sudden attention placed on him. He was her pilot, dependable and skilled, but no more than that. She could not allow the aliens to turn him into something else without proof. The alien woman lifted her staff and tapped the ground gently. The sound echoed like a bell, soft but strong. From the shadows, other alien figures appeared. They were elders, each dressed in robes of deep colors, with staffs marked by glowing lines. Their faces were lined with age, but their eyes burned with sharp light. They gathered in a circle at the center of the hall. The woman gestured for Aaron and the humans to step into the circle. Reluctantly, they obeyed. Aaron's throat felt dry as he stood before the elders. One of the elders spoke first, his voice deep and steady. "You claim this is the traveler of our prophecy," he said to the woman. "But prophecy can be read in many ways. What proof do you offer?" The woman bowed her head slightly. "The signs are clear. The twin suns have reached their cycle. The comet has crossed the sky. The dream fire has burned in the sacred pool. All point to this time and this man," the elders murmured among themselves. Some nodded in agreement, others frowned in doubt. Aaron felt their eyes pressing on him, like weights. He wished he could step back, but the circle held him in place. Another elder raised his staff. "The prophecy speaks of guidance, not power. It says the traveler will walk among us with empty hands, but empty hands may bring either peace or ruin. How do we know he is not a shadow sent to lead us astray?" The hall grew tense. The crew shifted uneasily, whispering to one another. Mara stepped forward. "He is only a pilot," she said firmly. "He did not come here seeking power. If you are searching for a leader, you may be mistaken." The woman shook her head. "The traveler does not seek power. That is the sign itself. The one who arrives without desire for control is the one we must trust." Aaron's heart beat faster. He wanted to argue, but the words caught in his throat. He had spent his life in the background, guiding ships but never leading. Now these people wanted him to lead without even asking him. He felt like he was standing on a road he had never chosen. The elders leaned close to one another, speaking in low voices. At last, the eldest among them, a woman with eyes like silver fire, lifted her staff. "If this man is truly the traveler, let him prove it. Let him face the trials of our ancestors. Only then will we know if he carries truth or falsehood." The crowd stirred at her words. Some gasped, others bowed their heads. Mara frowned deeply. "Trials? What trials?" she asked. The silver-eyed elder turned to her. "They are not trials, of strength or battle. They are trials of spirit. Long ago, our ancestors left them for the one who would come. If he is false, he will fail. If he is true, he will endure. Aaron's stomach tightened. He did not want trials. He did not want prophecy or destiny. He wanted to return to the ship, to the safety of the controls he understood. But when he looked around, he saw the hope in the aliens' faces. He saw the doubt as well, sharp and heavy. He realized that refusing might bring anger, or worse, conflict between the aliens and his crew. He drew a slow breath. "What if I fail?" he asked quietly. The silver-robed woman looked at him with gentle eyes. "Then we will know you are not the one. The path will remain closed and we will continue to wait. But I do not believe you will fail." Her faith unsettled him more than her words. He did not understand why she was so certain, yet a part of him, small and fragile, wanted to believe it too. Mara stepped close to him. Her voice was low but sharp. "You do not have to do this. You are my pilot. Your duty is to the crew, not to their prophecy." Aaron met her eyes. "If I refuse, they will see us as deceivers. They may turn against us. If I try, at least we keep their trust." Mara's lips pressed into a thin line. She did not like it, but she gave a short nod. "Then I will stand with you. Whatever happens, you will not face it alone." The woman lifted her staff again. "The trials will begin with the rising of the suns. Tonight, you will rest in the Hall of Crystal. Prepare your heart, for the path is not simple." The elders bowed their heads and slowly left the circle. The crowd outside the hall began to disperse, though many stayed nearby, waiting for morning. The crystal walls glowed with the soft light of the fading day, painting the hall in shades of gold and violet. Aaron sat on the stone floor, his hands resting on his knees. His thoughts spun in endless circles. He did not ask for this. He did not want it, yet he could not escape the feeling that the path was pulling him forward whether he was ready or not. The silver-robed woman sat across from him. She watched him quietly, her eyes filled with calm strength. At last, she spoke. "Do not fear the trials. They are not meant to break you. They are meant to show you what already lives inside you." Aaron shook his head. "I do not believe. I am special. I am not a leader. I am not a savior." The woman's voice was soft but firm. "That is why you may be the one. The prophecy does not call for a king or a warrior. It calls for someone who stands with empty hands, willing to walk the path without seeking it." Her words lingered in the air long after she fell silent. Aaron lay back against the crystal wall, staring up at the glowing ceiling. The night pressed in around the hall, and the distant stars shone through the crystal like fire. As he closed his eyes, he could still hear her voice, steady and certain. He did not want to believe it, but deep inside, a spark had been lit. The trials were coming, and somehow he knew he would not turn away. The morning came with a deep golden light. The two suns rose together, casting long beams across the Hall of Crystal. The crystal walls caught the glow and filled the air with shifting colors. Aaron opened his eyes slowly. He had not slept much during the night. His mind had been full of restless thoughts about the trials he was expected to face. He sat up and saw Mara standing near the entrance of the hall. Her arms were crossed, her expression hard. She had been awake for hours, watching the movement outside. The alien people had gathered again, waiting in silence. Their eyes never left the hall, as if they knew history would be written that day. The silver-robed woman entered quietly, her staff tapping against the stone. She looked at Aaron with calm certainty. "The time has come," she said. "Are you ready?" Aaron shook his head slowly. "I do not feel ready, but I will go." Mara stepped forward. "If he must face your trials, then I will go with him." The woman met Mara's eyes. "The trials are meant for him alone. Others cannot walk his path. But you may wait nearby. Your presence will not be refused." Aaron stood and took a deep breath. His legs felt heavy, but he forced them to move. The woman led him out of the hall and into the bright light of the suns. The crowd parted once again, forming a path of stone that stretched toward the hills. Their faces were serious, their voices hushed. They bowed as Aaron passed, though not all of them did so willingly. Some eyes were sharp with doubt, waiting for him to fail. At the base of the hills stood a wide arch of crystal. Symbols were carved into its surface, glowing faintly with white light. The woman stopped before it and turned to Aaron. "Beyond this arch lies the first trial," she said. "You must enter alone. You cannot carry weapons, nor can you call for aid. Only your heart and your choices will guide you." Aaron looked at the arch with unease. The opening seemed dark, as though it swallowed the light of the suns. He wanted to turn back, to walk away, but the crowd behind him made escape impossible. He drew another deep breath and stepped forward. As soon as he passed through the arch, the world shifted. The bright sunlight vanished. He found himself standing in a wide cavern lit by a soft blue glow. The air was cool and heavy, and his footsteps echoed on the stone floor. A voice spoke, though no figure appeared. It was deep, steady, and seemed to come from the walls themselves. "The first trial is the trial of fear. To guide others, you must face what lies in your own heart. Walk forward, and the truth will rise before you." Aaron's hands trembled. He began to walk slowly, each step heavier than the last. Shapes began to form in the blue glow. At first they were shadows, then figures. He saw his own crew. There, faces twisted in anger, he heard their voices accusing him. "You will fail us," one shouted. "You were never meant to lead," another cried. "You will bring ruin to all," a third voice said. Aaron stopped, his chest tight. He knew these were not real, but the voices cut deep because they were his own fears given form. He lowered his head, ashamed. The voice of the cavern spoke again. "Do you accept these fears, or will you deny them?" Aaron closed his eyes. He thought of the journey through space, of the times he had doubted himself even as he guided the ship. He thought of the weight of being chosen when he had never sought it. Slowly he raised his head. "I am afraid," he said aloud. "I fear failure. I fear I am not enough. But I will not turn away from it. I will walk forward even with fear." At his words, the shadows dissolved. The cavern filled with bright light, and the path ahead opened. Aaron walked forward with unsteady steps, but the weight on his chest grew lighter. At the end of the cavern, another arch of crystal appeared. When he stepped through it, the light of the suns returned. He stood once again outside, where the crowd waited. The alien people leaned forward, their eyes wide. The silver-robed woman's face shone with pride. "He has passed the first trial," she declared. The crowd broke into murmurs. Some bowed their heads in respect. Others frowned, unwilling to accept what they had seen. The woman turned to Aaron. "The second trial awaits." He followed her to another arch, taller than the first. Its carvings glowed with a faint green light. Beyond it, he saw another darkness waiting. He felt his stomach twist, but he did not stop. He stepped through. This time he found himself in a vast chamber filled with mirrors. Each mirror reflected not just his body, but his choices. In one, he saw himself turning away from the aliens, leaving them behind. In another, he saw himself trying to rule them with force. In yet another, he saw himself standing silent while their people fell into conflict. The voice of the chamber echoed around him. "The second trial is the trial of choice. The path you walk will shape more than yourself. Will you choose selfishness, or will you choose unity?" Aaron looked at the mirrors, his heart heavy. He thought of Earth, of his crew, of the alien people who waited outside with hope in their eyes. He thought of the prophecy, whether it was real or not. At last, he spoke. I do not want power. I do not want to control. I will choose unity. I will walk with open hands, not closed fists. The mirrors shimmered and shattered into light. The chamber grew bright, and the path opened once more. When Aaron stepped outside again, the crowd erupted with gasps. The silver-robed woman raised, her staff high. He has passed the second trial. Even those who doubted began to bow, though some still held suspicion in their eyes. Aaron's chest heaved with exhaustion, but a strange strength grew inside him. He had faced his fears and made his choice. The trials were not yet finished, but he no longer felt like a pilot lost in another world. For the first time, he felt like he might belong to the path he walked. The woman touched his shoulder gently. One more trial remains. When it is done, all will see the truth. Aaron looked toward the final arch, glowing with fierce golden light. His legs shook, but his eyes were steady. He knew he would walk through it no matter what waited on the other side. The last arch glowed like fire, its golden light bright against the stone. Aaron stood before it with his breath steady but heavy. He had passed 2 trials already. He had faced his fear and made his choice for unity. Yet the third trial felt different. The light of the arch seemed to press against his skin, daring him to enter. The silver-robed woman raised her staff. The final trial is the trial of trust. Beyond this gate, you will not walk alone. Another will join you, and together you must decide the path. If you fail to trust, the way will close. If you succeed, the prophecy will be fulfilled. Aaron frowned. Who will walk with me? The woman pointed to Mara. Your leader will enter beside you. It is her place to share the test. Mara stiffened at the words. She had never trusted this prophecy, and she disliked being pulled into it. But when she met Aaron's eyes, she saw his quiet resolve. She gave a sharp nod. Very well. If you go, I go. Together, they stepped into the golden arch. The light swallowed them, and the world shifted once more. They found themselves in a vast chamber of stone. In the center stood a tall pillar, and on top of it rested a glowing crystal. At the far side of the chamber lay a second pillar, taller and brighter, with another crystal shining above it. Between the 2 pillars stretched a deep chasm, so wide that no single leap could cross it. A voice filled the chamber. The path is not yours alone. You must trust each other or you will fall. Only by giving strength to another can you pass. Mara scanned the chasm and frowned. It is a test of teamwork, she said. Aaron studied the ground. Pieces of stone lay scattered, as though once they had been part of a bridge. He bent and lifted one. It was heavy but not impossible to carry. We must rebuild the way together, he said. They worked in silence at first, gathering the broken stones and placing them across the gap. Aaron strained with the weight, his arms shaking, but he forced himself to keep moving. Mara lifted her share with firm resolve, her face set with determination. As they worked, the voice spoke again. Do you trust each other fully? Aaron hesitated before answering. I do. Mara glanced at him. You should not. I question everything about this prophecy, but I trust you, Aaron. Not because of destiny, but because you are steady. And you have never failed me. Aaron felt warmth in his chest at her words. They placed the final stone together, forming a narrow bridge across the chasm. The crystals on both pillars flared with light, filling the chamber with golden fire. The voice spoke once more. The trial of trust is complete. The chamber dissolved, and the golden light faded. Aaron and Mara stepped out of the arch into the bright suns once more. The crowd erupted in shouts and cries. Many fell to their knees, bowing deeply. The silver-robed woman raised her staff high. The trials are complete. He has faced fear, he has chosen unity, and he has shown trust. The prophecy is fulfilled, the traveler has come. For a moment, joy swept through the gathering. But then a sharp voice broke through. It was the dark-robed elder who had spoken before. His eyes burned with doubt. You call him the traveler, but what if he is a deceiver? What if the trials are tricks meant to blind us? The humans bring machines, tools of power. Perhaps they seek to rule us, not guide us? The crowd shifted uneasily. Some nodded, murmuring their agreement. Others shouted that Aaron had proven himself. The air filled with tension, a storm of belief and suspicion. Mara stepped forward, her hand resting on her belt. We did not come to rule. We came to learn, to share, to build trust. Aaron did not ask for this. You gave him these trials. He did not claim anything for himself. The elder raised his staff high. Words are easy, but what will you do with your power? Will you keep your weapons hidden until the day you strike? Will you use the faith of our people to control us? Aaron shook his head quickly. No, I do not want power. I am no ruler. I only want peace between us. But the elder turned to the crowd and spoke with sharp force. Do you not see? This is how it begins. They bring a face of peace while their machines grow strong. If we bow to them now, we will bow forever. The crowd broke into loud voices. Half shouted in defense of Aaron, while half cried warnings of danger. The unity of the people began to split like cracks in the stone. The silver-robed woman stood tall, her voice strong above the noise. You doubt because you fear, but fear is not truth. Look at what he has done. He faced the trials with no weapon, no crown, no demand of power. He has stood with open hands. This is the one our ancestors promised. The elder slammed his staff against the ground. Or he is the shadow that will bring our ruin. The crowd shouted louder. Some reached toward Aaron with hope, while others pulled back with suspicion. Mara placed a hand on Aaron's arm, ready to guide him back toward the ship if danger grew. Aaron's chest felt heavy. He had faced the trials, but now he faced something far greater, the doubt of an entire people. The suns dipped lower, casting long shadows across the stone field. The alien gathering had become divided. Some bowed to Aaron as the traveler, their voices lifted in praise. Others turned away, their faces dark with mistrust. The woman looked at Aaron and spoke quietly, so only he and Mara could hear. This is the moment the prophecy warned of. The traveler does not bring peace by force. He must choose a path that binds the divided, or all will fall into chaos. Aaron's heart pounded. He had no idea what to do. He was a pilot, not a leader. Yet as the noise of division grew around him, he knew that silence would not save them. A choice would have to be made. The suns hung low in the sky, casting long golden shadows across the stone plaza. The alien people had gathered again, but the air was heavy with tension. Half of the crowd had bowed to Aaron as the traveler, believing in the prophecy, while the other half whispered and murmured, their faces filled with doubt and suspicion. Aaron stood at the center, the silver-robed woman beside him. Mara was close, her arms crossed, her eyes scanning the crowd. Aaron felt the weight of every gaze on him. He had passed the trials, faced his fear, made his choice for unity, and shown trust. Yet now, the path forward was not a test of courage, but of words, of honesty, and of the heart. The dark-robed elder stepped forward, staff raised high. His voice cut through the murmurs. Traveler or not, he is human. His people bring machines. He has no right to guide us. Do you not see that we risk our freedom by following him? Aaron's chest tightened. He had expected trials of stone or fire. not fear and suspicion from the people themselves. The elder's words echoed in his mind, mixing with his own doubts. He thought of the crew, of Mara, and of the aliens who had trusted him. The silver-robed woman raised her hand. "Do not let fear blind you," she said. "He has walked the trials, and his spirit is true. Listen, and you will see." Aaron took a deep breath. The words he was about to speak had to be more than truth. They had to reach the hearts of everyone. He stepped forward, letting his voice carry across the plaza. "I am not a leader," he said slowly. "I am not a king or a warrior. I do not bring power. I am only a pilot, a traveler who has come because I was asked to. The prophecy brought me here, but I did not seek it. I do not want control over you. I want peace." A hush fell across the crowd. Even the murmuring elders paused, listening. Aaron continued, "I have walked the trials. I have faced fear, and I have made choices. I have trusted Mara, and I have chosen unity. That is what I bring. Not weapons, not crowns, not commands. Only my will to stand with you, to walk with you, and to build together." The dark-robed elder stepped closer, his eyes narrow. "Words are easy. Can you prove it? Can you show us that you will not betray our trust?" Aaron's gaze did not falter. "I cannot promise what the future will hold. None can. But I can promise this. I will not harm your people. I will not take from you. I will work with you, side by side, and let our actions show what words cannot. If we fail together. But if we succeed together." The crowd was silent. Some faces softened, eyes brightening with hope. Others remained skeptical, but they were listening. They could see his honesty, the way he spoke without arrogance, without fear, without claim to power. The silver-robed woman placed her hand on his shoulder. "This is what the prophecy meant," she said softly. "It did not speak of a hero with strength or magic. It spoke of one with a spirit strong enough to inspire trust and unity." Aaron looked across the plaza. He saw young aliens bowing in quiet faith. He saw elders who had doubted, now watching him with curiosity and caution. He saw Mara, her face calm but proud. He raised his hand slightly. "I do not ask you to follow blindly. I ask you to choose. Look at what we have done together. We have faced trials. We have faced fear. We have chosen trust. Now choose to walk forward together, not because of prophecy, but because it is the right path for all of us." A soft murmur rose from the crowd, spreading like ripples on water. Some aliens stepped forward, placing their hands across their chests in a gesture of respect. Others hesitated, uncertain, but their expressions softened. The dark-robed elder's staff shook slightly as he stepped back. Perhaps we judged too quickly," he said in a low voice. "Words are not proof, but there is truth in his actions. He has faced the trials, not for power, but with trust. Maybe this is the way." The crowd shifted, and more voices joined in. Slowly, the majority of the people began to bow to Aaron, not out of fear or blind faith, but from recognition that he had shown honesty, courage, and commitment to unity. Aaron felt a relief unlike anything he had known. The tension that had weighed on him for days lifted slightly. He looked at the silver-robed woman, who nodded with quiet pride. "You have done well," she said. "The people see you now. The divisions will heal." The dark-robed elder lowered his staff. "I will watch carefully," he said, his voice firm but respectful. "But perhaps this traveler is truly what we have awaited." Aaron nodded. He knew the road ahead would not be easy. Trust had been given, but it could be lost. He had united them with words and action, but only their continued choices would maintain that unity. Mara stepped forward, her hand brushing his arm. "You spoke well. They listened. That is all you could do." Aaron took a deep breath. "It is not enough to speak. We must act together. If we want peace, we must show it every day." The silver-robed woman lifted her staff, and the crowd quieted once more. "Let this day be remembered. The traveler has spoken, and the people have chosen. From this day forward, the path is open. Let unity guide us." The suns sank lower, bathing the plaza in soft gold. The alien people began to disperse slowly, speaking quietly among themselves, some with hope, others with careful skepticism. Aaron felt their eyes on him, and he understood that leadership was not about power or control, but about being steady, honest, and present. He turned to Mara. "We have begun," he said softly. "Yes," she replied. "And now, we must walk the path together." The silver-robed woman watched them both. She smiled faintly, her eyes reflecting the last rays of the suns. "This is only the beginning," she said. "But the journey is true, and the traveler has found his place." Aaron looked at the twin suns setting over the horizon. For the first time since arriving on this world, he felt hope. He had faced fear, made choices, built trust, and spoken truth. The people were divided no longer, at least for now. He knew that challenges would come, but for the moment, they were united. The first light of dawn stretched across the horizon, casting soft pink and gold over the crystal city. Aaron stood atop the stone steps of the Hall of Crystal, gazing at the gathering of alien people below. The crowd was calm now, quiet in a way that reflected both respect and hope. They had witnessed his words and actions the day before, and for the first time, many felt a sense of trust in the traveler who had come from the stars. The silver-robed woman joined him, her staff glowing faintly in the morning light. "You have done more than speak," she said quietly. "You have shown them that one can walk with honesty, even when all eyes are watching. That is the beginning of change." Aaron turned to her, his eyes thoughtful. "Change comes slowly," he said. "I only hope it lasts," she smiled gently. "It will, if hearts remain open. The choice is now theirs as much as yours." Mara approached, carrying the small data devices from their ship. She had spent the night recording details of the hall and the carvings, documenting every step of the prophecy, trials, and the people's response. She handed one to Aaron. "They will want to see this," she said. "They will need to understand why we came and how we arrived here." Aaron nodded. "We came not to rule, but to share. Not to take, but to build." The crowd stirred as the silver-robed woman lifted her staff high. "People of the land, today marks the day the traveler walked among us. Today we have witnessed honesty, courage, and trust. Today the path opens to a new dawn." The people bowed deeply. The sound of their movements echoed across the plaza, a quiet rhythm of respect and unity. Aaron felt the weight of responsibility, but also a strange lightness. He had not sought this role, yet somehow he had arrived where he was meant to be. The dark-robed elder stepped forward once more. He had not bowed before, but now he regarded Aaron with careful eyes. "You have spoken truth. You have acted with patience and courage. I cannot deny the path you have opened." Aaron met his gaze. "I do not expect blind faith," he said. "All I ask is that we walk together. We are stronger together than apart." The elder lowered his staff, a gesture of acceptance. "Then let us walk together," he said simply. The silver-robed woman's eyes gleamed. "The traveler is ready, and so are the people. The time has come to move forward." Aaron looked around. He saw children stepping lightly across the plaza, their laughter soft and clear. He saw elders sharing quiet words with one another, finding common ground. Even the skeptics moved forward, their hands open in tentative friendship. The energy of unity filled the air. He stepped down from the hall's steps, walking among the people rather than above them. Mara stayed at his side, her presence steady and comforting. Together they moved through the crowd, speaking quietly, listening to questions, and offering reassurance. The silver-robed woman walked beside them, her staff tapping gently against the stones. "You see," she said, "true guidance is not given from above. It is shared among all who will walk the path." Aaron nodded. "Then our work is only beginning. But the first step has been taken." As the suns rose higher, the crystal city began to reflect their light in new ways. The halls shimmered, the towers gleamed, and the streets glowed with soft color. It was as if the city itself acknowledged a new era. He turned to Mara. "The people will need help to rebuild trust fully, to bridge the divisions that doubt created." Mara nodded. "We can help them. We understand cooperation and teamwork. That is something they can learn too." Aaron's thoughts drifted to the silver-robed woman. She had waited for this day, watching and guiding, yet she had allowed him to choose his own path. He realized now that she had not given him leadership. She had given him responsibility and the chance to earn trust honestly. The woman stopped and looked at him. "You have learned the first lesson of guidance," she said. "Power is not claimed. It is accepted through honesty, courage, and shared purpose. Walk forward, traveler. Continue to choose wisely, and your people will follow." Aaron felt a sense of calm determination settle over him. He was no longer just a traveler from the stars. He was part of something greater, a bridge between two worlds, a symbol of trust and unity. The crowd began to gather at the plaza's center, forming circles and lines, ready to listen, learn, and follow. Aaron raised his hands lightly, signaling for quiet. The people stilled immediately, their eyes fixed on him. "We have begun," Aaron said, his voice steady. "We have faced fear, made choices, and built trust. The journey ahead is long, but it is ours to walk together. Each of us has a part to play. Each of us must choose honesty, courage, and unity every day. If we do this, there will be peace. If we do this, we will grow stronger together." The crowd remained silent for a moment, and then, slowly, voices rose. First a few, then many, chanting words of agreement and encouragement. They lifted their hands, their voices, their hearts. The plaza rang with a harmony of trust, a sound that was new and powerful. The silver-robed woman lowered her staff and smiled. "The prophecy has been fulfilled, not because of power or force, but because of truth. The traveler came, and the people chose wisely. A new dawn has begun." Aaron looked out across the plaza. The alien people who had once been divided now moved together, speaking softly, sharing ideas, and building understanding. The fear and suspicion of the past days were fading, replaced with curiosity and hope. Mara stood beside him. "You have done well," she said quietly. "The work continues, but today is a victory." Aaron nodded. "Not just for me, for all of us. We have taken the first step together." The silver-robed woman raised her staff one last time, and the crystal city seemed to glow brighter than ever before. The twin suns reflected off the towers, the halls, and the streets, creating a river of light that stretched into the horizon. Aaron felt a quiet smile form on his face. He did not know what challenges awaited them next. He did not know what trials would come with the days ahead. But for the first time, he felt ready to face them, not alone, but with the people who now trusted him, and with Mara by his side. As the suns climbed higher, the plaza filled with movement, conversation, and shared purpose. The city was alive, with hope. The traveler from the stars had arrived, and a new chapter had begun. Aaron looked once more at the silver-robed woman. "Thank you," he said. She nodded. "Walk wisely, traveler. Guide with honesty, and the people will follow. The future is in your hands, but so is the choice to walk together." He turned to the crowd, to Mara, to the city that shone in light and possibility. He raised his hand, not as a king, not as a ruler, but as a traveler, as one who had learned to trust, to act, and to unite.